Post photo hypernova post Banlist. Scareclaw Defanging, Scareclaw Kashtira is now available for the Scareclaw archetype, and we're bringing it back with Scareclaw Adventure. I think this is the way to go. With that being said, let's get to the deck profile. So let's start off with the monsters, and the monster lineup is going to be quite similar to what we used to run back in the days. Ultimately, what you want to see in the grave is a level 3 Scareclaw, not the level 7, not the level 4. So you only use this surge effect at the end of the combo to also ensure we get our +1 draw as well. Two, it does obviously clash with the adventure engine. This is a 50 card build. Also with Scareclaw Lightheart, you always want to search the field spell with his effect, but drawing it sucks really bad. So you play a 50 card version to basically make sure we don't draw too many weird cards. And here's the new card, Scareclaw Kashtira. I absolutely love this card. This card changes Scareclaw in quite a few ways, and for the most part makes it a really scary OTK deck because you don't even need the full max board of Scareclaw level 3s to OTK. Now, any Scareclaw that fights a monster or a Kashtira that bows a monster is negated, and that happens at attack declaration. So that's a pretty cool thing. I'll go through this quickly. These are the exact same in an adventure version. You want to see as many level 3 Scareclaws as possible because it doesn't conflict with the Avramax. You're pretty much good to go as far as getting your Scareclaw combo off. We are also running the adventure engine because it just works really well with Scareclaw. Ever since the first deck profile I did with this deck, I realized how powerful this engine goes with it and never ever conflicts with it. Of course, now that Elf is banned, post Banlist, we now have an easier way of bouncing things with Draco back. With Elf banned, the field spell gets better because you can now target things and pop them, and for Scareclaw Twin Soul. So there we go, there's the adventure engine wrapping up with the Griffin. We're not running a legal knight. I have yet to consider a legal knight again. That said, Elf is banned, so why are we not playing a legal knight? You know, I do think a legal knight has a great utility now, so maybe we are running in the future. Scareclaw Kashtira is a Kashtira name. If anyone can search it, you can go for very quick and very easy rank 7 plays. I could even argue running this as a 2-of because you mostly search the Scareclaw Kashtira, so because of that you don't even need the third copy. What I learned is the bestials are so strong in Scareclaw. They're great extenders, and Bow Drake being a absolute nuisance for most decks in the meta game means you can end the board on a Bow Drake and just have a good time because you know you'll have Dark and Lights on the field, and in a pinch they can, you know, also be link bodies for the tryhard. Because Kashtira is going to be the dominant deck post Banlist, you could argue taking the bestials out completely is probably the best thing to do, and I wouldn't say no because it is I believe a 5 card ratio, Illusion of Chaos and Magician Soul. So these cards work really well with the small world engine, with the adventure engine. They kind of go hand in hand because you can send the dead spells to grave, and also Magician Soul is one of the best bridges for small world ever. That's another reason why we played 2 of this and only 1 of this. Scareclaw Divine Carnate, there was a specific scenario I had where I wiped the whole Kashtira board. It's obviously getting quite popular because of that reason, so we are playing it in this build as well. Small world can actually search it very easily with Magician Souls and Temple being great bridges. Because it's 1500, Rykart can actually bridge into this card as well. It's actually really easy to get rid of the Kashtira board with cards like Kurikara. And that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. The next spell we're talking about is Triple Tactics Talent. So Talents is absolutely amazing in the Kashtira format because you can steal a Kashtira monster, and if you have Arise Heart in your extra deck, you can actually steal their Kashtira monster and turn it into your own Arise Heart. And we do actually play one in the extra deck as well, which is pretty cool. So Tactics is going to be really strong into the next format. And the point is, if we go second, we can disrupt the crap out of our opponents because of this card. And of course, hand traps are coming back in the meta because of Kashtira, because of Nibiru. So you have another card just to, you know, hopefully secure the win. We would play Prosperity, but Prosperity is going to clash with the Magician Souls and the Rykart draw 1, but that's why we don't play it. Next up is Small World. So running around 2 Small World, it can access anything in the deck because everything is so searchable. But yeah, Small World is absolutely great, can bridge into Kurikara. One example is if you have a Rykart in hand, which you always want to do at the end of your combo, you can actually get to a Kurikara, for example, by doing a Rykart into Magician Souls into Kurikara, because Magician Souls Kurikara share the level 1, Rykart and Magician Souls share the dark attributes. And let's move on to my favorite part, which is the Scareclaw spells and traps. Because of the nature of this deck specifically, we're still only running 1 Arrival. With this version of the deck, everything is focused on that core 1 card combo. Scareclaw Declan, I really believe in this card. This card is wicked, guys. It can add a field spell from grave to hand. So if you get rid of it for example, the Magician Souls, you can actually add it back to your hand. And the grave effect being, if there are 3 or more defense monsters on the field, banish it and add a Scareclaw card from your graveyard to your hand. So when it comes back to your turn and maybe the opponent has broke some of your board, you can actually add the Scareclaw Splash back to your hand from the grave to set up another Omni Negate, which is so good. So Splash is our Omni Negate. I was doing some testing before this deck profile, and it did exactly what I thought it would, which is beat Darkland no more. Just FYI, against Arise Heart, Splash will not work because it has to go to the grave to resolve. Twin Soul is obviously your Sword Soul Blackout, a very notorious card. I never thought I'd see the day where we'd get a a bestowed like floodgate effect for link monsters so soon, and for the Scareclaw archetype, if you have a link free monster on the field, banish it from grave. It's a trap, so it's a quick effect, negate the effect of all link monsters on the field, and because tryouts effects aren't, you know, activated effect, it's still fine, and it's the level 3s that give him the boost, so you really get to take advantage of the Scareclaw archetype and engine with Twin Source. So one of my favorite cards in the deck, and we are running 3 of Scareclaw Defanging. It has so many effects. Let's break them down. Scareclaw Link monsters, or I believe Vice Staffers, can't be targeted or destroyed by card effect. If you didn't know, Tournament, everything they do targets or destroys, so the only way they can get over it is with a Zeus. However, a tryhard making everything go in defense, they can't even go into the Zeus. Anytime any monster that is destroyed by battle with a Scareclaw, I believe Link monster, you can banish a Link monster Scareclaw from your graveyard or field to pop a card on the field. So now we have another pop mechanic built into the deck, makes the deck really strong, a really solid contender for one of the best rogue decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because we're running more than 40 cards, we want this as a 3-of to make sure we see at least one card. Guys, I'm struggling to figure out how they're supposed to break the board if this is on the field, and I think that's the most exciting thing about the Scareclaw deck, post Banlist, post Vote Hypernova. We're running 2 field spell because we always want to search it with the Lightheart. If you can't find this card in a duel, that's when you break, because it's so easy to get into the field spell. Also, Scareclaw Decline is kind of like a field spell because you can add it from grave to hand, and of course it has this pop effect, which is just really funny because no one expects it. Next up is the Adventure Engines, and then rounding it off is 3 Rive Aramazes. What I found quite interesting is the Adventure Engine didn't even get touched in the ban. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments down below. We're gonna have a very interesting meta coming up soon. Branded has not been hit, Adventure has not been hit. I think Scareclaw is the way to go because inherently they even beat Branded. I still do think Terra will be the best deck in the room, and that's why we have the bestial cards in there to respect the matchup. And guys, if you like Scareclaw, I think this is going to be one of the most fun versions to play. And that's been the monsters. Let's get into the extra deck, which has had some changes thanks to the Kashtira archetype. Coming up first is Scareclaw Lightheart. This is your striker dragon. This is your star of the deck because it can search the field spell, which is obviously really important in the deck. This card can come back to the field if Vices is on the field. All you end up needing is just the 3rd body extender, which can be a Fenrir, which can be a Scareclaw Kashtira, or the Magician Soul. Remember as well, the search effect is not even a once per turn, so you can actually get away with doing a lot of crazy things with this card. But FYI, with Scareclaw Defanging, nothing's going to stop this card. Next up, we're only running 2 Tryhard. I did mention in the video that Scareclaw Decline can add a Tryhard back to the extra deck. If they rip the second one out, I think this meta is really interesting and there's going to be a lot of challenges. So we're going to run cards like Underworld, cards like Access Code, and the Mech Knight Avramax. You could argue this card can be taken out completely for maybe the Super Poly pack. We've also got Appaloosa as the last link for boss monster, so you do actually summon Appaloosa quite a decent amount against the Kashtira matchup. Appaloosa is actually quite decent, and because Tryhard makes everything go into defense mode, your Appaloosa is going to be protected, so it gets all of the negates, of which I find really interesting. Next up is the Dark Charmer, and we're actually running the Earth Charmer because Fenrir is going to be more popular. I think Fenrir is going to be great to steal and then use their effects to search for Scareclaw Kashtira, which will plus off our own engines. And then we are running the IP Masquerader for the last Link 2 extender. With Scareclaw Defanging, you could argue we don't even need the IP protection because we have Underworld. We get rid of a lot of pesky monsters, so that's why we're running this card. If we ever get Nibiru, if we ever need the token to turn into an effect monster, we can do that with Link Spider, which obviously Tryhard needs effect monsters, so that's why it's actually pretty important to run that card. And then rounding off the deck list, 1 Kashtira Rise Heart and 1 Zeus. If the opponent activates a Shangri-La, our Rise Heart is actually live. The Super Poly package might actually be really strong, but I'm running this for now because I think this is a great skeleton for the deck. If you don't think Zeus is really important, if you think the rank 3 toolbox is actually really good, you could even keep the Zeus. From what I've seen, this is a great toolbox to get started with. In my Scareclaw Kashtira deck profile, which if you want to see me do, let me know in the comments down below. There will definitely be a more of an emphasis on the rank 7 package. And that being said, guys, that's been the deck profile. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me take this deck online, I'd love to do that. And that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.